So we finished the park bench here, and we're gonna make this kind of like a park, right? And so I wanted to show you, we haven't done any curved things, right? We're gonna make like a little pond. And so one of the things that is difficult when it comes to 2-point perspective is adding something that has curves. So a pond or a lake, if you will, people instantly think, oh, it's a circle, and it just looks like this. But if you see my circle and you compare it to, don't draw this, I'm just showing you the first step. So people think, oh, that's a pond. It's a circle. It's a perfect circle. So right now, it doesn't really necessarily look like a pond. Remember, everything has to be in 2-point perspective. Let's think back to the circle for the cylinder, right? It gets stretched out. So now we have the vanishing point over here, right? So technically, it should be more of an oval because right now it looks like it's standing on top of the ground, right? So that's actually incorrect. And so to make this look more believable in 2-point perspective, it has to be more of an oval, okay? And it has to be looking like it's being stretched this way. So what you want to do for this pond, you pull it so that it's bigger on this side, right? The curve is bigger and it's more narrow on that side. That will look like it's more believable in terms of a pond in the park or a lake. And to double check this, if I grab my ruler and line it up to the furthest part over here, or this curve that sticks out the most, right? And do the same thing on the opposite side, right? The pond should fit in between these two lines. So you see how mine sticks out a little bit on the right side? So I'm going to erase that part. And now our lake or our pond is in perspective, linear perspective, accurately. With this side that's closest to us is bigger, and the side that's furthest away is smaller. Because remember, it is getting smaller as it is going away from us, right? So let's say we wanted to add a little fountain or something in the center of our pond. Same thing. So this is flat on the ground, right? The fountain has to be sticking up, right? So let's say we add now just an oval, right? This is the base of our fountain. That oval kind of goes to that vanishing point over there. But since it's closest to us, it's more like an oval like this. And then we are just going to add a cylinder or a rectangle or a line sticking straight up like this. Okay. And the base of it curving to the right, straight up again. And since it is below the horizon line, we should be able to see the top of that. So it stops like that, right? You see how now it looks like it's standing? It's sitting on the lake or the pond. I don't really know what to call it. It should be a pond, not a lake. Lake is much bigger. Okay. So now if we wanted to, we can add the little lines to show that it's water spraying out. And everything's in perspective, right? I'm just going to add the little ripples to show that it's water. Right? But that is in perspective. Okay. The part of it that's close to us, it's wider. Part is furthest away is smaller because again, it's getting close to the vanishing point on the right for number 2. And then the fountain that I put in the center, right, started with an oval for the base. It's basically a cylinder, and I could see the top of it. And then I just put water sticking out. Okay. Everything you put in there should look like it's standing on the street or on the surface. Shouldn't look like it's flat, right? Just like the bench, we have the legs to show and they're straight down. Okay. All right. You can add you should add another bench, or this is another place where you can add a building of your own. So you can add a building here, here, or even here, right? And it all starts with one vertical line, right? That we did all of them. All right, we're gonna go ahead and add a billboard to this building here. Then after that, we'll stop. So a billboard is a rectangle, right? Basically this. We basically made a billboard on this building, not freestanding, right? This is glued onto the wall. This one will be on this side of our building, and it'll be standing like the ones you see on the freeways, right? That are being held up with like posts, right? And so we're going to make 4 lines, vertical lines. Take my ruler just to make sure that they're straight. And we're going to connect. These are going to be our posts for our billboard. So 4 lines, vertical. And they're really short. Okay. So 4 vertical lines. These are going to be the supports for our billboard. Now what we're going to do, take our ruler, line it up to vanishing point number 1. Okay. And we're going to put our ruler right on top of those 4 lines. And we're going to draw a line that connects all 4 of those. And the line is going to extend all the way to the end of the building. So each edge, right? So I put a line that connected all 4 of those vertical lines, which are the posts for our billboard. Okay. If you extend it past it, it might look a little weird. Okay. So I stopped at the edge of the building on the left and on the right. Now I'm going to add two vertical lines. One on the right side first, which will be the taller one. Make sure it's straight. And I'm going to make it that tall. Okay. And before we add the other vertical line, to show how high up to go, we have to draw an orthogonal line going to vanishing point number 1 and to the top of the vertical line we just drew. So vanishing point number 1 to the top of that vertical line. And I'm going to stop it where it kind of lines up with this edge of our building. Okay. And now we can draw our second vertical line that connects both of these 2 orthogonal lines. Okay. There's the front of our billboard. Pretty easy, right? Now we need to do, because the billboard has some thickness to it, right? So we should be able to see the thickness of the billboard here. And that's done with a few lines. So these 2 orthogonal lines go to that vanishing point. The next set of these 2 lines, but on this side of the billboard, are going to go to vanishing point number 2. Okay. So take your ruler, line it up to vanishing point number 2, line it up to the top of that first vertical line, and I'm just going to make a little tiny line like that. How long you make this will determine how wide or how thick your billboard's going to be. Obviously, you don't want to make it too long because you don't want the billboard to be thicker than it is wider or longer, right? And then you're going to do the same thing to the bottom of that vertical line. Grab your ruler, vanishing point number 2, line it up to the bottom of that vertical line, and draw a little line as well. Okay, like that. So now you have two. 1, 2. Both of those go to vanishing point number 2. And now all we do is draw a vertical line connecting both of those orthogonal lines we just drew. And now we have the thickness of our billboard. The last thing, what other side should we be able to see of our billboard if it is above the horizon line? What other part should we be able to see? Since it's, thank you, Isaac and Kong. We should be able to see a small sliver of underneath of that building, just like we did for 1 point perspective, how we can see the bottom of that box. And this is where it gets a little tricky and a little difficult for people to kind of understand. Remember, we're going to both vanishing points, right? So now I go from this corner, bottom right corner. Let me zoom in to show you a little better. And I'm going to line up this furthest bottom right corner to vanishing point number 1. And I'm going to draw an orthogonal line. Let me finish it first so you can see what it's going to look like, and then you can follow. So going to this corner, and I'm just going to draw a line this way. And I'm going to stop it before it gets to that side. So you see how it's super small? And this is where you need to be pretty precise with your ruler. I'm going to darken that up so you can see it a little better. So again, bottom right corner, lined up to vanishing point number 1. Okay. And I stopped it right before it got to the edge of the building and the billboard. Because now what we're going to do is line it up to vanishing point number 2, but we're going to go to the opposite corner right here. And so now I'm going to go to the bottom left corner, line that up to vanishing point number 2, and then I'm just going to draw a little tiny line from the corner to that last line we just drew. So now we can see the bottom of it. Bottom of our billboard, front of our billboard, and the side of our billboard. And that is in 2-point perspective drawing, or 2-point perspective. And so similar to what we did over here, the L is bigger than the Z because it's taller here, right? Whatever letter you have over here will be taller than the one on the left because this side is longer. So I'm going to just write my name again. And this is a little shorter than the other billboard that we did last class. And so the P, see if I can even fit it. All right. So the billboard is a little small to fit my name. So I'm just doing my best to try and fit it in there. And then fix the things that I want to fix. Just going to make the Z go all the way to the edge. All right. And there it is. Billboard in 2-point perspective. It goes to both vanishing points, right? Sorry, that didn't turn out as well as I wanted it to in terms of the word. Okay, so now you have multiple places in which you can put your own building, right? Put it here, here, and maybe even on this side if you wanted to. So when you submit it on Friday, you need to make sure you have everything we have here right now, and then add your own building.